Hi guys, just finished the interview with the Syrian comedian and the Facebook superstar Treka. And unfortunately, after I was trying to edit the video, I saw that due to some technical problem, it only recorded his track and our voices. So I'm gonna leave you with the whole interview. You're gonna see him, you're gonna hear us perfectly, and I hope that you're gonna enjoy it. And I hope that this problem won't occur again in the upcoming interviews. Have a good day and let me know what do you think. Cheers. So today I have a special guest, a superstar, a comedian from Syria. He's a superstar on Facebook and also on YouTube. Treka, I'm happy that you accept my invitation and happy to have you here.
Thank you so much, man.
So
It's an honor to you too.
thank you very much. So the first question I want to ask, who is Treka who came from Syria to go and involve in this political topics and give us a taste of comedy that during these days we are really in need to this kind of humor?
Well, my name is Treka. I'm a Syrian stand-up comedian.
Mhm.
I do comedy here in bars and nightclubs and cafes. And I enjoy doing comedy both in English and in Arabic.
Mhm.
I started doing comedy, political topics and stuff like that after I started I'm living in Syria and there's a war, so I'm watching the mainstream media, I'm watching the news, and I'm seeing that most of the mainstream media is talking about the Syrian war in a very false way.
Mhm.
Like what they're saying is untrue. So I started looking for other sources to find like sources that are saying the truth about the situation in Syria, and I couldn't find a lot. And the people that I found also didn't have a lot of viewers and
Mhm.
didn't have a lot of following. So I was like, why don't I speak my truth? I'm living in Syria, I'm seeing the situation. And I was like, yes, why not? So I started doing videos. My first video was the Assad must go curse. That was the first video I did in English, and it got a lot of views, like in hundreds of thousands. And there were other pages that started uploading the same video on their pages. So I saw that there was people interested and there was engagement. So I was like, yeah, why shouldn't I continue doing this stuff? So I started doing stand-up comedy in bars and clubs in Arabic here, and I started doing also comedy in English, and I started uploading it on Facebook and social media and YouTube. That's how I started.
That's great because what I saw also when I did my channel, although it's not about comedy and like it's not a kind of satire when you put your ideas into political and socio-political, but I saw that many people, they are craving to see the idea of people from the Middle East because they always get it from one source, which is the mainstream media or other political commentators that sometimes they are talking some accurate things. Other times they talk things that because they have never been in the Middle East. So when you talk about it, it's a little bit different from the reality. So did you get a big surprise by the response of the people from all over the world? Because I see that you have fans from all over the world and followers that they are following your work day after day.
Well, of course, a lot of people were surprised because they weren't expecting a Syrian to be talking the way I talk and knowing a lot about their own news and their own lifestyles and stuff like that. Because like the mainstream media only shows the crazy people, like they only show the people with the beard and Allahu Akbar and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of people will have a wrong idea of all the Middle East and the people there. So yeah, there were people that were surprised, but there are a lot of people like me here.
I know, yeah, I know that, and that's why I'm trying also in my videos to show this way and give a voice to the people that they represent maybe not the majority of the Middle Eastern, but let us say a secular minority that they are growing so fast day after day. So that lead me to a question, especially because I've been in Syria many times. I remember Bab Toma, I remember Al-Mazza, I remember even Masakin Barza, many places in Syria I've been. But if we can say, I'm not talking about before the war and now, let us say from 3 years and until now, is there any change in Syria when it comes to the daily basis?
Well, things have improved. Like
Hmm.
3 years ago, there were a lot of places under the control of the terrorist groups
Hmm.
like ISIS or Jabhat al-Nusra, and today the Syrian army has the majority, is in control of the majority of the land.
Hmm.
So this is good because in the 3 years ago there were a lot of places that were very strict, had very strict rules because they were under these terrorist groups. Because when these terrorist groups, for an example, get control of an area, they start implementing Sharia law by force on the whole place, and they start doing beheadings. Or if, let's say, a woman wasn't wearing a hijab, she might get punished. Or if they find out that like a guy is a homosexual or an atheist, he could be killed. So 3 years ago, you had a lot of this happening. It's still happening now, but like I said, right now, the majority of the land is under the control of the Syrian government. And when an area is under the control of the Syrian government, you will have a very diverse and secular lifestyle, because in government-controlled areas, you will find people from all religions, from all ethnicities, and they're all protected, and they're all living in a safe place. They would only worry about rockets and mortars like falling on the area from the ISIS places. But in general, everyone is protected, you know.
Hmm.
But like in ISIS places, of course, you can't do a lot of stuff. When they got control of areas, they started attacking bars, attacking alcohol liquor stores, attacking Christians, or attacking non-Muslims, or attacking Muslims that are not practicing their faith correctly.
Hmm.
So you had chaos. So like 3 years ago till now, things have improved to the better. It's not yet completely safe. Syria, you still have places like Idlib and the north part of Syria, but it's a very huge progress. It's a positive change.
What about, you live in Damascus, by the way?
Yes, in
So,
Damascus.
what about Damascus itself? Because I remember Damascus, that it's the city that they never sleep, with nightclubs, with great nightlife, and people are in the streets all the time. And as I remember, I asked also one of my friends, he's also from Syria, and he told me that in the beginning of the war that happened in Syria, in the beginning, everybody was so pessimistic about the results. But now I'm
Mm.
seeing in Syria, and especially in Damascus, people are going out often more than before. They are trying to live their life and even improve the lifestyle to be more homogeneous than even before the war.
Yes,
Is that
yes,
true?
it's true, because after this war, people have woken up. They have woken up. They have seen what the real situation is, and they saw how important it is for us to stay together and united together. Because one of the plans is to divide Syria. You know, they want to make it a part that is for the Sunnis, a part that is for the Alawis, and the south for the Druze. And they said the Christians should leave and go to Beirut. This was the plan that they wanted to do. So the Syrian people have woken up, and they know that when we are all together and united, Syria will be stronger, and we can like fight the evil together. So yes, it has helped, because, and by the way, you would be surprised, till today Damascus, the city that doesn't sleep, you can walk like a.m. to Bab Tuma, and you will see there are still bars and nightclubs playing, and everybody is still living, because life goes on, and the Syrian people are strong. They're
Yeah.
strong people, because some people might give up, you know, but like you would walk, you would still see people in the street, you still see people helping each other, caring for one another. So I just hope soon the whole war will end, so that everything can come back to normal, so that we can help rebuild the country. And for the refugees that are in Europe that are not happy, that wants to come back, they will also come back to Syria and help rebuild. So I just hope everything ends.
I hope that also, my friend, and that's why I want to ask you. Like from the beginning, when we saw the involvement of the United States by the Democratic Party from the beginning of the war in Syria, uh, how do you can measure their involvement, and especially when you see the followers who can't understand what you are saying right now? For example, they always
Okay.
consider that you are the fake news and the reality is a different thing,
Okay.
and nobody can get it. Why they
Okay.
can't get it?
Some people deny that America played a role in the Syrian crisis, but I can easily answer you this in 15 seconds. The Syrian army and the government buys its weapon only from Russia. All the Syrian army's weapons are Russian weapons. But when the Syrian army attacks an ISIS-held area and liberates it, so when the ISIS members are dead and they enter into their stores, they would find all their weapons are made in America. All their weapons are made in America. Their technology, their everything is made in America. So you have two options. It either came directly from America or it came indirectly from America. We both know that Saudi Arabia buys all its weapons from
From the States.
America. And you know that ISIS and Jabhat al-Nusra, they all have the same Wahhabi ideology that came from Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia, we also know that Saudi Arabia has been funding and sending weapons to these terrorists. So it is either, because Obama said once that he was sending weapons, but he was sending them to the Free Syrian Army. While we Syrians, we were telling the American people that it's a lie. There's nothing called Free Syria. They're all Islamic extremists. The people that are fighting and holding weapons, they're all Islamic extremist groups. When you talk to them and you tell them, what do you want? Why are you behaving like animals? They'll tell you that we want to overthrow Syria's secular government and we want to implement Sharia law and make it an Islamic. This is what they want. So we can see the connection between this, because all their weapons are made in America. So from America, like he was sending, was going to ISIS and to Jabhat al-Nusra and to Al-Qaeda, or Saudi Arabia is buying weapons from America and sending them to Syria.
So going back to your channel and to your activity, as I told you and as I saw that you have followers from all over the world, especially from the States, as I mentioned. That's correct, right?
Yes, it's true, yeah.
We saw after the last election when Donald Trump won the election, we saw like a big division between the American society, and we can see it obviously on social media and political commentators on YouTube. As you become also a satire political commentator, from where you see the support or the followers are more from the Trump side or from Hillary side?
From the side.
From, sorry, I couldn't hear you.
From Trump's side, like most of I have followers that are Democrats, but I think most of my American followers are conservatives.
Why?
They're from the Republican Party. Because we both have the same feelings towards Hillary Clinton and Obama. You know, I've been a huge critic of Hillary Clinton and Obama because both of them were the people that started this embargo in Syria. They were the ones that started funding these terrorists. They were the ones that started attacking Syria through social media and through their own propaganda. So my American followers started watching my videos. They saw how I criticized Hillary Clinton, how I criticized Obama and his party for being warmongers and for being liars and corrupt people. So I think this is one of the reasons why they really liked me.
And you see, like, as we say in Arabic, like aduwi sadiqi, or like the enemy of my enemy is my friend, or they really like your story and your way of giving the ideas touch them in the way that they like?
I think the most reason why it's because I'm speaking facts. You know, like when I talk about what Obama did or what Hillary Clinton did, it's not, I'm not saying my opinion, I'm stating facts, you know, facts that have been proven that she has done this. That, for an example, when I spoke about the emails or the what she did in Libya, or Obama when he funded ISIS, or his foreign policy towards Syria, like all these are facts. So they see that this is true, and they saw, okay, wait, if this guy is saying the truth about going on in America, and he's also doing videos about Syria, so let us listen to what he has to say in Syria. So maybe what he's also saying is true. So I think that's how it all happened.
And talking, you mentioned about the immigration and the Syrian crisis, and I saw your video about the refugee crisis. And until now, I don't know how many Syrian refugee inside the Syrian refugee crisis, and how many non-Syrian refugees are considered to be Syrian refugees.
It's true. Do you know why? Because this is the problem. The mainstream media has been telling the public that what is going on in Syria is a civil war. Like, it's a fight between the people. They don't know that who the Syrian people are really fighting are Islamic extremist groups that are coming from all over the world. You know, there are Syrians. I'm not among them, there are Syrians, but there are also people from Afghanistan. There are also people from Libya. There are also people from Pakistan.
They're
from everywhere. From China, from Sudan, from Somalia, so from Canada. Justin Trudeau was saying that he wants to bring back to Canada. So this is the misconception the media has been giving the people. What is happening in Syria is that we are fighting Islamic extremist groups from all over the world. So when the Syrian army starts progressing and start liberating more areas, most of these terrorists running away. They will run first to Turkey. They will cross the border, and from Turkey they'll start going to Netherlands or to Germany or whatever. So this is what is happening. So not all these people are Syrians. So you will have terrorists from Afghanistan go. People from Somalia or Sudan will go. I saw videos of an African person in the camps in Germany, the Syrian citizen, and the Syrian people were like a video tape, and they were laughing at him because, of course, there are no black people in Syria, but he was lying to the government. And what I said in my video was clear, that the German government is doing a very big mistake because it is allowing everybody in. And of course, not all these refugees are terrorists. Most of them are peaceful people that are running away from Syria because of the war and for security reasons. But you can't deny that among these refugees, there are Islamic extremists, there are former ISIS members, former Al-Qaeda members, former Jabhat al-Nusra members, and these people have a very dangerous ideology. And if they come to Germany, and for an example, Germany is a very free country, you know, everybody can do whatever you want. Homosexuals can walk on the street and they wouldn't get harassed. Women can wear short skirts, and you know, life is very, very normal. So they could get harassed, they could get attacked, they could, you know, because to them, you know, these people are kuffar. You know what I'm talking about. Their perception of, you know, the European people, they're all sinners, they're all kuffar. So killing them, doing jihad, like suicide bombing yourself there, and killing a couple of Christians and a couple of sinners might take him to heaven, to his 72 hairy virgins and stuff. You know, this is how they think. So Merkel did a very, very big mistake in allowing all of them to enter. She should have maybe did a more extreme background check before allowing, and they should study the person, like where does he come from and stuff like that, before they allow them to enter.
But for example, what the other part they are saying to responding to people who say the same that you are saying, that you can't allow everybody, they say when they came all in boats, we can divide and see the check if they don't have documents. So how can we find the criteria to do the filtering?
They can't. It's very hard to do that. So what I think they should do, if they really care about the security of their land and their people, they should focus on returning Syria into a safe and secure country. They should, instead of fund terrorist groups, they should fund people to fight these terrorist groups so that Syria can return into a safe country and all these people can go back to Syria. Then they will not have a problem. Let them return back to Syria, because to me, if I was a German citizen or a Canadian citizen, or I honestly wouldn't allow them to enter. I would not, because my people's safety and security should be a priority to me. And the German government has failed in doing this, and other also European countries. So I think this is the solution. They should, instead of fund terrorist groups, they should fight in returning Syria into a safe country and liberating it from all these terrorist groups, so that all the Syrian refugees wouldn't have any more excuse on why they are staying in Europe. They would come back to their country. I think this is if I was a
Yeah, one of the things that I wanted to add and to ask you about your idea about it, I saw in general when it comes to the Western society, and especially the Western media or the people who get brainwashed by the Western media, they focus on the default example of someone coming from the Middle East as if he is the Islamist. The Islamist is the normal Middle Eastern. So when you get in boats many people who are coming from the Middle East, whether they are Syrian or not, when they see someone that you and me gonna notice him that this guy is bad for the community, they consider him the normal one. And we are the small minority that we can't do anything in the situation. So maybe one of the reasons is that they couldn't do any filtering in the process is because they think that an extreme Islamist is the normal Middle Eastern. So while they are the normal Middle Eastern, so we can't ban them from entering because it's going to be within the human rights, and many people and the press going to press them toward letting them in. But we saw that in other countries, for example, in Denmark, they did a very good procedure in comparison what happened to Germany and the rest of the countries, and they tried to isolate some people who were shown, and you can see them physically and with all the behavior that they are extremists, to kick them out, and they never accepted them. So don't you think that one of the reason is that the idea of the extremist as he is the normal Middle Eastern is one of the problems?
Yes, of course. But you see, there are some people that are not setting a good example for the Middle East. Like I heard stories in Germany that would, it really, like for an example, there was this guy like 2 weeks ago, he killed his wife.
I saw it.
Because you saw the video in Germany, and he was videotaping himself, and he was proud of his action, and he was like, yes, I did this defending my honor, and I don't care if I go to jail, at least I defended my honor. So this kind of mentality and these kinds of actions, of course, they will give the European a bad picture of the Middle East. For an example, there are also people that are bringing their children and they're making them wear the niqab.
Yeah.
Why are you letting your daughter that is 9 years old wear a niqab?
They're gonna tell you it's their culture.
Their culture is ignorant, because I think if any girl, I'm not against anyone wearing hijab, but the niqab shouldn't be worn. But if any girl wants to wear the niqab, I think she should reach at least 18 years old when her brain is completely evolved and completely matured for her to take that decision. But to see a parent, for an example, letting his 6 or 9 year old daughter wear a niqab, that's ignorance. And you also hear stories of Islamic families demanding the government to build segregated schools, like schools for girls and schools for boys. This is my message to these people. If you really love Sharia law that much, and you really love this kind of lifestyle, why didn't you go to Saudi Arabia? Go and live in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is a country that implements Sharia law, and it's an Islamic state. If this is the lifestyle you choose, go to Saudi Arabia, but don't go to a democratic country or a country like Germany or England or Canada and start demanding these kinds of demands. They should be grateful that the German government gave them this opportunity and gave them a new life, far away from war, far away from bombs and killing, and they should try their best to integrate to the European lifestyle. This is what they should be focusing on doing. They should be focusing on learning the language, working, and integrating to the German lifestyle or the European lifestyle, if we want to talk in general. They shouldn't try to bring the ignorance of the Middle East and try to implement it in Europe. It wouldn't work.
Yeah. If I take your voice now with the message that you said and I put it into a picture of a pro-European guy, everybody will call him a racist, far-right extremist.
Yeah,
why?
Because they listen. This is the problem. They are against facts. You know, when like what I am saying, I am a Syrian. I am living in Syria. I am seeing what I am talking about. You know, I'm living amongst them. Like now I live in Damascus. My house is 15 minutes away from Eastern Ghouta. You understand? Where the whole bloodshed and bloodbath was happening. You know, now happily it has been liberated 2 days ago. But I live just 15 minutes away from them. I know what I'm talking about. I understand these people's mentality. There's nothing Islamophobic about stating facts. You know, of course, not all the Muslims are like that. Not all the Muslims believe this. But the people that are extremists, that take the book literally, this is how they behave. So this is my issue. My issue is if you are an extremist and this is the lifestyle you enjoy living, why did you seek refugee in Europe when you know Europe is a liberated country, a democratic country where people have the freedom to do whatever they want?
Because there is social welfare.
Exactly, of course, because they're going to Europe and they're giving them money and they're giving them houses, free salary, and you know they're gonna send them guys to give them blowjobs for free. I don't know, man. They're just giving them free stuff. Of course, they would love to go to Europe, but this is why I am surprised, because if I was a refugee, which I wouldn't be, if I ever want to go to Europe or to America, I would either go legally or I would never go. But if somebody that is a refugee and got the chance to live in Europe, why would he want to implement the ignorance that is in the Middle East? If you can see, the Middle East in general is fucked up. Like wherever you go, people are killing each other. Wherever you go, like in Syria, it's bad. In Iraq, it's bad. In Libya, it's bad. Wherever you go, there's always a problem between Shia, between Sunnah, between, you know. So they had the chance to start a new life. Instead of them to be happy and integrate, they're trying to return to bring the ignorance of the Middle East to Europe.
Yeah,
I think these are the first people that the European governments should send back. These are the first people.
Actually, one of the things is that I saw it in many Middle Eastern people, or from the Islamic countries in general, that those people, they had an education from the beginning that their lifestyle is the correct, but because the situation is bad, it's not because they made the situation bad. It's always there is an external person who is trying to do every day something against them. So when they go to England, they try, or in the Western society in general, they try to implement the perfection that they have from the beginning without knowing that what they have it as a perfection was one of the reasons that they got fucked up in the first place.
You see, I'll tell you the story. It's short. You know, when I was young, I used to live in Nigeria. I was raised there. So in Nigeria, we had Boko Haram. Boko Haram is exactly like ISIS. So they used to enter, for an example, Christian villages, and they used to burn it. They used to burn it, killing thousands of people, of Christian people, and burning the whole villages. And, you know, there'll be Allahu Akbar, Muhammad Rasulullah, and all that kind of stuff. I used to ask my dad, I used to tell him, Dad, why these people are Muslims? Why are they killing and burning and beheading and stuff? He used to tell me, no, Dad, these people, they don't represent Islam. Then I believed it. Then I used to see stuff like, for example, in Palestine, when a father will send his small child, put explosive on his waist, and tell him, go and bomb this place. And the child will go, he will suicide bomb. Then you would see his family celebrating.
Yeah.
Celebrating. She's a hero. He's going to heaven. I would also ask my dad. I'll be like, Dad, look at these people. He'll be like, no. These people, they don't represent Islam. I kept on believing that all the problems in the Middle East, like you said, were external problems. You know, it's always America's problem. It's always Europe's problem. It's always the West. It's conspiracy theories. When in some situations it is true. Problem is the ideology that is in the Middle East. I'll give you an example. For an example, we know that ISIS is funded by America. We know that for sure. But we also know that if this ideology didn't exist in the Middle East, America wouldn't have ever been able to brainwash these people to start doing all these acts, you know? The problem isn't from the money that is coming from outside. The problem is from the ideas that we have in our culture.
Of course, you can't do ISIS in Japan, for example, because there is no fan base of doing an Islamic state in Japan.
Exactly. And remember, you know, in most Islamic places, they teach their child from the age of 6.
Yeah.
From the age of 6, they start letting him read the Quran and pray and fast and stuff. So this child is growing up, and this ideology is inside his subconscious. So it's very, very hard to reprogram his brain or to tell him that what he believes in is dangerous or stuff. Nobody is saying that, you know, believing in Islam is wrong, but being an extremist, trying to implement your ideas on the rest of the world is wrong. Nobody is telling anybody to convert. You want to be a Muslim, fine, be a Muslim. You want to pray, do whatever you want, it's cool, but leave the rest of the world alone. You know, leave the rest of the world alone. I've seen a couple of your videos. You talk about secularism and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that Syria is a secular country. Most of the people that Syria is an Islamic country. I tell them, no, Syria is a secular country, and it is very important for it to stay like that. And I'll tell you why. Because Syria is a very multi-religious and ethnic, has a very multi-religious and ethnic population. We have the Muslim Sunnis, we have the Muslim Shias, we have the Alawis, we have the Christian Catholics, we have the Christian Orthodox, we have Jews a little, but now they're a very small minority. We have the Druze, we have other ethnicities like the Kurds, we have the Armenians. So it's very diverse. So it is very dangerous and selfish and unfair to implement Sharia law on all these people.
True.
That's why some people ask, what do you mean by Syria by a secular country, a secular government? Secular government means that the government will treat every single Syrian citizen equally, regardless of his religion or his ethnic background. So this is as democratic as it can get. You know, no other, like the Christians are minorities, but they are not treated as second-class citizens in Syria. The Druze, they're minorities, but they're not treated as second-class citizens also in Syria. It is perfect for a multi and diverse country like Syria. But what ISIS and Jabhat al-Nusra and Al-Qaeda and Ahrar al-Sham and Jaish al-Islam, you know, they may all have different names. They may all have different...
The same ideology.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same exact ideology. So if, let's say, they were able to overthrow Syria's secular government, the first thing they're going to do is kill the minorities. That is the first thing. They're going to kill the Christians. They're going to kill the Druze. Do you know why? Because that the Christians and the Druze didn't stand with them. The Christians and the Druze were with the government, and they were peaceful, and they didn't support them. They didn't help them with weapons. They didn't support any of what ISIS or Al-Qaeda did. So if these people tomorrow, like, they overthrow the government, they're going to immediately attack the minorities. So
we have the example what happened in Mosul, in the north of Iraq. Yeah, When ISIS came, the first thing that they did, they enslaved the Yazidis, they killed and kicked out the Christian, and they even put in jail everybody, even if he's a Sunni Muslim, whenever he is not that so much extremist like them.
Yes, yes, that is what they did. I used to live in Western Ghouta. I used to live in Etsaya, and when the crisis started, I was talking to my neighbor. He's my friend from a very long time. Like, he was a very normal person. Like, we used to go out, we used to play football, play billiard, go to cafes, play cards. It was just, he was a normal guy. When the Syrian crisis started, and he started seeing that these extremists started gaining power, and like you remember, the mainstream media was saying that Assad days are numbered, that it is just like a couple of days, maximum a week, and he will be overthrown. So when this guy saw that it was close, that the Islamic extremist was going to win, he suddenly changed. He suddenly changed, man. I was talking to him in the house, and I was telling him, why are you against the government? Like, seriously, give me a reason. Why are you against him? He was like, because the majority of Syrians are Muslims, and Syria is not an Islamic country, so we want to overthrow the government. I was like, so if you make it, and I asked him, so if you make it an Islamic country, what is going to happen to the Druze? He was like, the Druze, which I am part of, I'm from the Druze community. I'm from the Druze community, but my dad is also half Orthodox Christian.
Okay, good mixture.
Yes. So he told me that as soon as we overthrow the government, we're going to go to Sweden and we're going to kill all your men and marry your women. That is what he told me, and he was making eye contact with me, and he was sitting with a couple of his friends, which also supported his idea, and that was the time I went back home and I told my family that it is time for us to move, because if this really happens, because we were the only Druze in the neighborhood, you know, so we were afraid for our lives. Like, if they knew, could they attack us? Could they kill us? And this is what the West doesn't know about the situation there. Listen, I'm not saying that Assad is an angel, you know. Of course, like every government, there are things that are wrong. There are things that could be improved or changed. Nobody is denying that. But he is a way much better solution than the alternative that is right now. Because right now, if you look at Syria, all the people, all the oppositions are all Islamic extremists. You know, if these people take over Syria, it's going to be way more dangerous and way more fucked up. So
and it's going to be worse than what's happening in Libya right now.
Exactly. Look at Libya. Libya now, they're selling slaves, and they're selling women as sex slaves. And a lot of people don't know that the Libyans were living a very, very high class life.
True.
They didn't. The Libyan citizens were taking salaries from their government. They had a lot of stuff, you know, like the economy was good. If, let's say, a student finishes high school, the government will pay for his university, and there were a lot of stuff that Gaddafi gave the Libyan people that they were very comfortable. But because, you know, the media plays a huge role in brainwashing. So the Arab Spring and the revolution was something cool to be part of. You know, Egypt, it happened in Egypt, it happened in Tunis, it happened in Libya. So yes, they want to do it. But look at Libya now. Libya it's very hard for it to recover. It's very sad, you know. It's very sad for the Libyans. And this is what the Syrian people are trying to, you know, they're trying to not let happen in Syria, because they saw what happened in Libya. They saw what happened in Iraq. They saw what happened in... So they don't want that to happen.
Man, the time is flying so fast with you, and I would love to do 2 hours with you. But I'm gonna leave you with the last question. And talking about comedy, what is your favorite comedian? Stand-up comedian.
The problem is I have a lot. Like every comedian, there is something specific I love about him. Like, of course, George Carlin. I like George Carlin. I like there are a lot. I like Russell Brand, Russell Peter, Eddie Griffin, Jim Jeffries, Bill Maher, Bill Maher. Who else? There are a lot. Louis C.K.
Yeah,
And my favorite right now, I think is Bill Burr. Like
yeah,
Bill Burr is, I think he is one of my favorite comedian because he is so natural and he always rants and he's always angry
yeah.
and he talks about issues in the the realest ways, the most honest ways. Who else? Hmm. Yeah, like
I'm
I
gonna give
told
you a
you,
recommendation. You have to watch Doug Stanhope.
Doug Stanhope.
I'm gonna send you a link after we finish the
Yeah,
recording. He's
why not?
like a dark, very dark humor, and he's really good. He's authentic in his way of comedy. You're gonna enjoy
That's
it.
yeah, why not?
Awesome, man. So we're gonna keep in contact for sure, and I'm gonna call you. The Syrian Bill Burr was with me from Damascus, and I hope to see you soon. Maybe one day face to face. Let us see if it's
Yes,
gonna be
hopefully.
possible. Habibi,
It was very nice meeting you, and it was fun chatting with you.
thank you very much, man. All the best.
You too.
Cheers.
Peace.